Okay, how much time you got? Because I saw the FNAF 2 movie and I have a couple of thoughts about the games and other theories that people have thrown out in the wind of the internet. Now, I know one big question that people can't seem to solve was Midnight Motorist from FNAF Pizzeria Simulator, or I guess FNAF 6. And one of the big questions that people can't seem to solve is what is Juniors, that building that you can pull into after playing Midnight Motorist. Now, some things that we know is that Midnight Motorist, apparently in the code, is called Later That Night. And I truly believe, after seeing the second FNAF movie, that Juniors is the FNAF 1 location. Also, say hi to my baby. His name is Bagheera. He's a pretty baby boy. He's a good boy. Anyway, here's my reasoning. Because it is shown that Charlotte, or Charlie, or whatever you want to name her, died outside of the pizzeria because some kids were bullying her and locked her outside of the building, and the puppet couldn't get to her. And then the William Afton came up, killed the child outside of the building, and drove off. Now, in the other minigame where the puppet pops out of the box, goes outside to go to the child, the puppet falls onto the child's dead body in the back alleyway or whatever, because of the rain, right? And you can see the tire tracks. So this event of the child dying outside lines up with the minigame from the other game. I don't remember all the games off the top of my head, okay? So, after William Afton killed Charlie, later that night, he's driving in his car all the way down. Now, people are confused. If the yellow guy in Midnight Motorist is William Afton, how can you prove that? Well, in the FNAF 2 movie, it shows that William Afton tends to wear the yellow Bonnie outfit, the yellow bunny outfit, right? It's not called Springtrap until after he died, right? So, he would wear his yellow outfit. And later that night, the only reason why he's the yellow guy is because he's wearing the bunny outfit, right? And we know that it's his car because in the FNAF Five Nights at Laps race game, the little Trek Mario Kart ripoff game, you can drive the purple car and it has the yellow Bonnie or yellow bunny, on the antenna, right? So people already know that it's his car. And because in the FNAF 2 movie, because of the game, we already established that the FNAF 2 location is a prequel from FNAF 1. My evidence for this is, one, they literally said that this is the original location in the second movie. And then when it showed the blueprints of FNAF 1 Freddy, it said version 3.0. So the Wither animatronics are version 1, the toys are version 2, and FNAF 1 animatronics are version 3. So, and then here's my other thought. Another reason why that building in Midnight Motorist is called Juniors, because it's a franchise location. There's a difference between corporate and franchise. For example, I worked at a fast food restaurant, Jack in the Box. No affiliation with them. I don't speak for the brand. And my store is a franchise building. We have no connection with the corporate. Another example is from the movie The Founders, which is, kind of an origin story off of the McDonald's corporation or story or whatever. The McDonald's brothers said, why have multiple crappier versions of our restaurant when we can have one good location, right? That's part of the reason why the McDonald's brothers didn't want a franchise. Why have 10 mediocre restaurants when we can have one great restaurant? And I can only assume this is kind of in line with that, where the FNAF 2 location, the original home location, was the best one. It had a bigger restaurant floor. It had, in the movie version, it had the river boat going through. It had a little carousel. Where with the FNAF 1 location, it was a much smaller building. Yeah, you had a little Pirate's Cove, but it was mostly just the one big diner. Instead of having multiple party rooms. So I can only guess, using FNAF Into the Pit, where I know that's not really tied with anything, to my understanding. I think that Jeff's Pizza is the FNAF 2 location because it's much bigger. That's my guess. Now, when it comes to William Afton and his children, the whole Vanessa thing, I don't know how that plays into the game, but what if that Elizabeth died, became baby? Sorry, I think, or was it Emily? I can't remember. But anywho, the blonde-haired girl with green eyes died, possessed baby, and Vanessa is a sister who witnessed that because there was a dream sequence within the FNAF 2 movie, and we got to see Circus Baby. So, what if, in the events of the story, Vanessa from Security Breach is actually an Afton, right? Because the little blonde-haired girl in Sister Location was like, "Daddy, didn't you make her for me?" And sure enough, when she was alone, Baby scooped her because that's what Baby was programmed for. Also, another thing I know a lot of people are confused on the timeline placement of the FNAF movies. The first movie takes place in the year 2000 because you can see that on the security camera on the top left-hand corner when Mike was in that waiting room after he pummeled the dad in the mall at the beginning of the first movie. Now, at the second movie, during the sequence when they're showing off the FNAF 2 location in its prime, it said 1982. We know that the crying child, or other people call him Dave, or David, died in 1983. So that kid getting bitten wasn't until 1 year later. But anywho, the FNAF 2 movie, during the main whole movie, takes place in 2002 because it said 20 years later after 1982. So the events of the second movie are 2 years later of the events of the first movie, which makes sense because, the FNAF 2 movie came out 2 years later after the first movie. So it's kind of, it's kind of cute. Fun fact, I was also born in 2002, so the events of the second FNAF movie, I was just born, and I am 23 years old. Yep. Kind of crazy to think about it because when the FNAF 1 game came out, it was back in 2014. I was in 7th grade at that time. Now, at no point am I truly a genius. I'm not a theorizer in any way. I just love having conversations with people. I don't have the skills to truly verbalize what I want to say. I just like to imagine with how Scott imagined his franchise. Yeah, it's complicated, but it should be straightforward, right? So even a child should be able to solve the puzzle. That's my understanding of FNAF. It can be complicated, but if you look too closely, you won't see the bigger picture. Find all the little details, but take a step back and look at the overall, layout. That's my guess.